As you can see, making selections can be a multi-step process. I want to talk about yet another way that you can refine your selections. I'm back at a couple of steps ago where I've made just the first selection outlining the lips, but I haven't deselected the inside yet. So this would be a step that you would do before perhaps going to the refine edge. It's one of those middle steps where maybe the first step is you make a general selection, then maybe you go up to the modes, the layer modes, and you do add to or subtract. And then there's a third step that you might want to do before you go to the refine selection, which is the quick mask mode. I'll move my toolbar out to make sure you can see it. The second to last icon at the very bottom of your toolbar, if you hover over it, says Edit in Quick Mask Mode. If I click on that, what I should see is that everything outside my selection has turned red, and my selection I see in its actual color. So mind you, to be able to see this and to work in Quick Mask Mode, you have to have an active selection already on your image. As soon as I switched over to Quick Mask Mode, my colors became black and white. When I switch out of Quick Mask Mode by clicking on the icon again, notice my colors go back to the colors I had set before for foreground and background. I'm going to switch to Edit in Quick Mask Mode. That's because in Quick Mask Mode, my black, which I'm going to use with my paintbrush, is actually going to come out red. Any place I paint in black, or what's going to come out as red, is going to affect my selection. I'll demonstrate. I'm going to paint into the lips. And now let's switch over to the regular mode so you can see how that affected my selection. So if I'm painting in black or painting in the red area, I'm altering what's on the outside of my selection. I'll go back over, and now I'll switch my colors to switch in white. And it's kind of like I'm erasing. And I'll go and I'll erase that little mistake I just made. Switch back over to the normal mode, and you can see that is affecting my selection. That's gone. So how would I touch up this image? Along the edges here, my selection wasn't perfect. I think I did this, well, I did it with the with the quick selection tool. Did a pretty good job, but it's a little rough. And as we saw in some other videos, I was able to touch this up using the smooth option in my refine selection, but I just wanted to point this out as another option. Another way you can kind of go and touch up. I'm going to go inside the mouth here and use my brush to go and paint in red. I need to make my brush quite small. Go and paint it in. So there are just some times when it's going to be easier to make your selection in quick mask mode. I personally find that it's a little more natural to be able to work with the paintbrush than with some of the selection tools. So you want to make sure when you're over into quick mask mode that your colors are black and white. If they're not, for any reason, if you see gray, you can switch onto your little default black and whites here. And to switch between your background and foreground, you're going to click on the little reverse arrow here. So when you paint with black, that's going to be painting red, and that is the area that is not selected. Anything that is you paint into white and that you can see is the area that is selected. The last thing to double check is just make sure you are painting at 100% opacity. Actually, if you paint at a lower opacity, it's kind of like you're creating a feather on your selection. So now I'll go back over to my normal mode, and you can see how I've deselected the interior of the mouth. And if I take any one of my selection tools, I can go back up to refine edge, and I continue where I left off. I think I had switched my mode from the last time I was working. I hadn't pointed this out on other videos, but you have a whole bunch of different modes. I think by default you're on the white background, but perhaps it's easier to see your selection against a red or a black one. So either way. And I can pick up where I left off and smooth that selection out and perhaps add just a very small feather. So now you really have some tools to make some very refined selections, which would be appropriate for your next project that creates something new.